Is your voice assistant dumb or is it smart? Is it going to know all about me just by knowing my name? Can it check any of my IDs in the database to check if I qualify for something or not? The answer to all of this is dynamic variables. And to be honest, when I started building voice AI agents, I was extremely scared of these dynamic variables because I had no idea how to pass it and I thought it was supremely complicated. And the inspiration to this video came when one of my subscribers emailed me that they were having a hard time matching the ID of somebody who's calling to their databases and they had no idea how to do it. The solution was that they had to pass dynamic variables through their make.com automations and then check their database by the values that is returned in that JSON. So all of this sounds very complicated, but I'm going to teach you today step by step how to navigate through the seemingly tough world of dynamic variables. Okay, so this is the documentation of Retell's dynamic variables. And by default, they have these three as something they already support without any configuration at all. And these are current time, username, and user email, right? So using that, you can pass all these three variables and get that data. But what if you want to pass some variables that are not defined inside Retell documentation already? For that, you have to create your own custom tools and then pass your own variables. And I'll just tell you how to do that. So for example, I have made this agent, which is basically a smart agent that whenever receives or sends a call, asks your name and then check your name against a database that it already has. If you have any history with the company this AI is working for, it will instantly know without you telling them again and again who you are and what you have done or what orders you have with this company. That makes it really, really smart, and that also increases the customer satisfaction to a much greater level. Because imagine you don't have to explain who you are, what's your order number, what's your history, how many things you have purchased from a company when you are on their customer support. Just by telling your name, it can fetch everything you have done with the company and then move forward from that, right? So for that, I have just given a very simple prompt just for this demo that asks for the customer's name and invoke check database function. Now this function I have defined right here, which is also called a tool in Retell. So here you can create a tool like that, and here I have made a custom function which I have given the name of check database, right? And in description I have written passes name variable to the URL and waits for the result. Now this URL is a make.com webhook, which I'm just going to show you. But before that, this is the syntax of JSON that you have to define, because we are going to get this property as name, and this property is the name of the user, and this property is a string and it is required. So if you want to copy, just copy this whole string of JSON so that you can create the same function that I have defined here. So it's very simple. You have to just save this function and then call this function in a very simple way, which I have just shown here. And then I have also put this check if the user is present in it, which means if the user is present in the database, ask him if he has any questions regarding his history with you. And his history is what is to be defined in our database, which I'm going to show you next. But before that, let's come to the make workflow of this. Don't get scared, because these are two different things that I have done to show you two different variations of the same passing of dynamic variables in this video, right? So for this one, I'm going to use this one, which is checking a customer database against a webhook, which we are going to get from right here, because we have defined this as our webhook URL. Okay, so the first thing would be to just define a webhook, which I have defined as check database, copy this whole URL, okay, and paste this URL exactly where you want to call this custom function, because this is the URL on which your agent is going to get the required information for this function. Okay, so first step is to include a webhook. If you don't know, you just right click, add a module, and search for webhook and create a custom webhook, right? That's how you create this one, which is the trigger of your whole automation, right? Next up is you have to put a search row Google Sheet node if you're using Google Sheet for the database, right? For that, you have to go to add module, search for Google Sheets, and in that, click on search rows like that. Okay, and this looks like this. right? So I have a simple database that I have made in which I have put a phone, a name, and a history, right? In history, I have just put a random thing that he has purchased a MacBook from us, so that whenever the agent gets in contact with me, it should always know my history without me telling it my order number or any of such informations. So if we go back to our make automation, next up is, let me define this as well for you. So in this module, we have linked our whole Google Drive and we have selected this sheet, which is the database I have just shown you. And then I have put a condition that if the name column, which is right here, if the name column matches with the arguments that we are going to get through webhook, which we have defined right here, this one, the name, right? So we have to get the name argument and then we have to check if the name argument is present inside the name column of our Google Sheet. Then what will happen is I have put a router. So if the condition is true, it's going to go to this webhook and it's going to give Retell this response that this user has a following history with us, right? And to define that, I have taken the name from the webhook and the history from the C column of our database, which is right here. So this is the history column. You can have anything here, like he has purchased 5 books from us, or he has purchased so and so orders. You can be very detailed or you can be very kind of over the surface. Doesn't matter. So it will respond back with this argument to Retell, and if it is true and if it is false, it's going to just return that this is a new customer. Greet by, I see you're calling for us for the first time. Welcome. Okay, so if the user is new, there is no history, it's going to just welcome the user, right? And the filter is that if the name column of this database or Google Sheet contains the name that is passed through the webhook, it means it is true, the condition is true, right? So it goes through this way. And if the condition is false, that sorry, I'll just change the condition. The name does not contain the name here, okay? Then the condition is false. Then it will give the output that this is a new customer and then say welcome, right? So when this is done, let's test it if it's working correctly. So I'll run it once and I'll go here and I'll just test this LLM and let's say we'll test it. Hi. So it's going to ask my name and then immediately check if I'm available in the database or not through that webhook URL. Okay, so I'll say my name is Rish and it will just check. Yes, so it says I found your history. Rish, you have purchased a MacBook from us, which it has done from here because it has run this. It has passed my name as argument and this has searched my name and it has obviously found my name inside this database right here, and then it has passed through this condition, which is true, and then it now knows that I have a history with the company, right? What if I don't have a history? So let's test that also. We run it once and we go back to Retell and let's test it again. So I'll press hi and I'll say, let's say my name is Kent, and it will again run the automation. Right, so it say, I see you're calling for the first time. Welcome, Kent. If you're having any questions or need assistance, feel free to ask. So this is an amazing way to create a stellar customer support if you are deploying your voice AI agent to any company or any business. And it's the easiest way to make your voice agent really, really smart. And I was telling you about a healthcare startup that contacted me about the ID verification of their customers. So let's test that as well, right? So we go back to our make automation and instead of this one, I'll run this one. So this is another database that I have created inside my Google Sheet, which is very simple list of IDs, which I'm just going to show you right here. So I have put all IDs inside this sample database, right? So the simple logic would be if the ID exists in this database, the customer can move forward with the conversation with the agent. Otherwise, the agent has to hang up. Okay, so let's test this one. We go back to our make automation, and then we change our trigger from this to this, and we copy this URL instead, and we go back to our agent and we paste this URL instead of the previous one, because our webhook has changed. Okay, and let me just explain this one as well. This is very simple, very similar to the upper one. So here we have just changed the sheet that we have linked with make, and here we are linking the ID numbers sheet, and we are checking the ID column of the sheet, which is the only column that is present inside our database right here. And we are checking if the ID that is passed from here is present inside this or not. If it is present, then the condition becomes true, and this is a filter that if this column contains the ID passed, then it's true, then pass the value that it is true, and if the condition is false, then pass the value is false. Okay, now here we have to change the agent a little bit. So here we have to change the property as ID. Okay, type would be number, and description would be ID of the user, and required would be ID. Okay, I save it, and I'll change this, and I'll change this prompt as well. So instead of this, I'll say if the ID is, if the function returns true ahead, otherwise hang up the call politely. Okay, so I have done all the changes. Now let's see if it's working or not. So we test it and we say hi. Okay, so this is a thing that I didn't notice. So we don't have to ask for the customer's name. We have to ask for the customer's ID. Okay, save it. Test again. Okay, let's say book me a slot. Yes, so it's asking me for my ID. Now, if I pass my ID, which is present inside this, so let's say I pass 890, it's gonna invoke this function, which I forgot to run, but it's fine. So let's go back to Retell, and let's say, what was the ID? 890. Okay, so I'll pass 890, and let's see what it comes back with. Yes, your ID has been verified successfully, because it has pulled our data from this automation and it has moved towards true, and we have a true condition, right? Now let's run it again and see if I pass anything other than a valid ID, if it works in that condition as well or not. So I say hi, book me a slot, and let's pass something that is not inside this ID. Let's say I say 444. Okay, so let's pass in, and let's wait if it's getting completed or not. Yes, so it says, I'm sorry, but your ID is not found in our database, and unfortunately it won't be able to assist us. So the tool result is false, which is true, because it has searched for our ID and it has gone through this route, which is false, and we have instructed by our prompt that if it was true, go ahead, otherwise it has to hang up, right? So with just one function calling, you have made your assistant a lot smarter, which can take decisions all by itself by checking the database of your company or your brand. And the best part is, you don't have to change your prompt again and again. As the database changes, it will dynamically take that data and fetch, and then do its own automations and tackle the customers accordingly, right? So this is how you can actually pass dynamic variables to make your agent smarter. The best use case of this I have found is in cold calling. So if you have a list and you want to address people by their names instead of just asking their name, which is an easier route, you have to pass dynamic variables, right? So let me tell you by an example. So this is what I have created as an outbound dynamic caller, right? In which I have put the current time is this one, because this is what Retell has already defined inside their systems. They would always know what the current time is if you just pass this dynamic variable without doing anything else, right? And what I have done is I have created this dynamic caller sheet as a sample cold caller for you, right? So I have put my name, and this is the number, and this is my industry, right? So name, number, industry, right? And what I have instructed is username is this one, user industry is this one, and I have prompted that you are so and so, and greet the username, and always greet the user by his name. And this would be the automation which is going to happen if you are doing cold calling through a Google Sheet. If you have not watched, I have already made a video of how to do all these automations in detail, which you can find somewhere on the top right of the screen. I'll link to it, but I'll quickly show what this is doing. So this one is searching for rows in my dynamic cold caller Google Sheet. So I can have several names, several numbers, and several industries. And what this will do is this will search all the rows and then return them as an array right here. Okay. And then these arrays are going to get passed through an iterator, which is going to send all these rows one by one to this make request HTTP model, which is basically calling the Retell API for doing the phone calls. Right? This is because we want to capture all these arrays at once, and then we want to pass one by one to all the calls. Okay. So let's say I put this on no. So I have not called this number yet. Right. So this is the Google Sheet which I have created. And here I have added a filter that when you are searching for this, only pass the numbers which we haven't called. If the flag is yes, this is going to skip that name and number, the whole row. And if the flag is no, then only it's going to pass it on forward, which is exactly what we want. Okay. So once this is true, it's going to pass all these collected rows to this aggregator, and then this aggregator is going to pass the whole array to this iterator, and this iterator is going to do a post API call to your Retell AI assistant. Okay, so here you can just put the standard things like the URL, method, authorization, content type. If you don't know any of this, there's another video which I'll link to, which has explained everything in detail. Okay, and down below is where the magic happens, right? So here you have to put this exact JSON, which is what I'm going to share with you also in the document that I'm going to share with you, which will have all these blueprints, all these templates. So you don't have to do a thing, just copy and paste and you're good to go. The only thing you'll need to change is the numbers and this agent ID, and probably the dynamic variable name if you are using different names. Okay, so here what I have defined is that I'm calling from this number, which is my number, and I'm calling to this number. This number is getting fetched from this array, which is fetching the number from the Google Sheet. Okay, and agent ID I'm overriding because I want to use one special agent for this call and not any agent. And this ID can be found inside your Retell dashboard right here. Okay, so this is the agent ID that you can post here. And then this is very important, Retell LLM dynamic variables. This you have to define, and you can define any number of that, doesn't matter, but I have defined two, which is one customer name and other is customer industry. Okay, so customer name is coming again from this array, and customer industry is also coming from this array, which in turn is coming from this database of our Google Sheet. And once the call is made, I also have to update this flag, which is the called. So this flag needs to be updated because once the calling has happened, it has to update this flag to yes, right? And to do that, you have to again make an update a row node of Google Sheets right here. You have to select your Google Sheet and you have to select a row number. The row number would be the row number in which the calling is happening right now. For example, if there are multiple people inside this and the calling is happening on row number 12, so you have to update the called flag of this row number only and not of any other row. And for that, what I'm doing is I'm taking the row number from the iterator node, right? Because whichever row number it's going to call, it's going to pass that same row number, and then we can update the called flag to yes. Okay, so now if it's all clear, let's just do a test call, and it should it should speak my name instead of just asking my name like extremely dumb cold caller. Okay, so let me make sure everything is fine. Greet the user by name, all of that. Okay, so my name is correct, everything is fine, call is no, and let's run this URL. Let's run this automation now. Let me get my phone. Okay, so the phone is ready and let's do it like now. Okay, so we have a call right here that you can see, and let's see what it shows. Hello.
Hi, Rish. It's Nina from TalkFlow AI. I hope you're having a great day. I apologize for the random call, but do you have a minute to chat?
Yeah, sure. What's up?
Great to hear from you, Rish. I wanted to talk a bit about the AI servers industry and how businesses like yours are leveraging AI voice solutions. Many companies in your field are using AI voice agents to enhance customer support, streamline operations, and improve user engagement. Have you considered how an AI voice solution could benefit your business?
Right. So did you notice not only it's greeted me by my name, it also tried to figure out how the AI voice assistant is going to fit in my industry, which I had defined inside, right here. Okay. Now, just for fun, let me change my name to, let's say, Batman. And let's say I put my industry as colonizing Mars. Okay, and I change the flag right here, and I again run my automation. Let's see what happens this time. Okay, let's wait for the call. The call is here. Let's see. Hello.
Hi there, Batman. I hope you're having a great day. I apologize for the random call, but do you have a minute to chat?
I'm saving the world, but I can spare a minute for you.
Thank you so much, Batman. I really appreciate it. I know you're in the exciting field of colonizing Mars. Can you share a bit about what you're currently working on? Also, I'd love to tell you how AI voice solutions are making a difference in your industry. Many companies are using AI voice agents to streamline communication, enhance customer engagement, and even assist in mission planning. It's fascinating how technology is evolving in space exploration.
Right, sure. So you see, it has figured out how to manage voice AI assistants inside colonizing Mars as a company, and it has greeted me as Batman because that is what we had defined right here. Okay, so this is how you can pass dynamic variables and make your AI assistant really fun and more knowledgeable and more smart, and also elevating your customer support and customer satisfaction level to great lengths, because nobody wants to tell the information again and again. If AI is so smart, why doesn't it not know about me already? Right? So that was it. I hope it was helpful, and if you derived any value from it, consider subscribing, leaving a like, and if you have any questions, drop in a comment. I'll be happy to solve any of your problems. I'll see you in the next one. Take care. Bye bye.